Hello everyone, I am PyroFalkon and this is Monster Rancher 4. In the last episode we got the mission to go to the Kalaragi jungle, so that is now open, as well as having counter attacks that are now unlocked, which I will almost never use, what with not needing them and such, since I want my monsters to have high speed anyway. So we will be going to the Kalaragi jungle in this episode immediately, so I have some AMA questions ready to go, and once we are there, we will chat. I believe the first Kalaragi jungle mission is pretty short, but I think you have to go back 2 times to get everything, so this is going to be... Whoops! Not the caves. The jungle. And this will be worth more experience points because the monsters are stronger. But they're still only D class, so I won't have to worry. Okay, so today's first question comes from KJ Friend, who just asks a short one. He asks, what am I doing over the holidays? What with that thing that's going around? He wants to visit his family in New York, but he knows that's a terrible idea. Once again, throwing me in the minority of people. I generally don't like people. And I have generally disliked getting together with family. And really, there's not that much family I want to get together with anyway. An exception is my mom. And as the Akamura and I have gotten older, we've both sort of come to the same boat, because she doesn't like her family either for other reasons. Ooh. It shouldn't look all gray. That's an emulator. Anyway. See, here's an example of when they should be countering. If I have a 99% chance to hit, then the enemy should theoretically counter every single thing I do, because then that turns my percentage to only 66% chance to hit, and if they get it right, then I'm going to take damage. So by pure math, everybody should always be attempting to counter Eva Marie. And I should be not attempting to counter ever. Anyway, so the Akamura and I are starting our own traditions. It's nothing that sounds fancy. In fact, it's pretty much the opposite of fancy. Our Thanksgiving tradition is she cooks an irresponsible amount of spaghetti, which is her signature dish, and we both eat until we explode, and I watch the NFL on TV until I can't breathe anymore, and then I go to bed. That's it. And it's super fun, because that's all I've wanted to do. I don't like traveling. I don't necessarily need to go out or travel to visit relatives I otherwise never see. I mean, I don't dislike my family, and one nice thing is my family generally has the same politics I do, which means there's none of that, you know, crazy uncle whatever, or some lunatic cousin who spouts off racist nonsense or whatever. I don't have to deal with anything like that. But it's not so much that. I'm just fundamentally kind of lazy and antisocial. I don't like getting dressed up, mostly. I just don't care. Traditions don't mean anything to me with people I never see. I suppose, in a nostalgic way, I kind of miss the old days as a child when I would go to my grandparents' house and all of the generations would be there, but I don't care. The world isn't like that anymore, so... You know, you can boomer argument that and be like, oh, the poor world and its traditions getting damaged with all these stupid, ungrateful children or fucking whatever. For me, I just don't care. I just don't care. I feel bad for anyone who does. Because, again, you know, if that's the way you are, if you need your family around, good. More power to you. That's fine. There are people who love their extended families and want to do everything they can with them, and that's cool. You know, and I do feel bad with that thing that's going around, and especially now, in this country, it's discouraged, but in most places I don't think illegal not to go anywhere. But I think in some countries like the UK, I don't know if it's illegal, but it's certainly like you're not supposed to go anywhere because of that thing that's going around. God help you if you have international family right now. So I get it. I understand the frustration. It just doesn't really affect me. What we're planning is my mom has essentially been in lockdown since the beginning of the thing that's going around. She hasn't ever had it, but she's kind of lonely, so she's going to come up here. It's only a half-hour drive. She's going to come up to my apartment. She's going to help me eat an irresponsible amount of spaghetti, and we'll watch the NFL together, and it'll be fun. And that's all I need out of life, man. That's it. I'm a very simple dude. If you want to get on my good side, if you want to date the Pyro, well, I mean, first of all, you've got to be a girl, because I'm straight. Second of all, just wear something cleavagey, and third of all, just be normal and have low maintenance. And you have won me over. That's all it takes. I'm a simple guy, so you know it's fine, man. I'm gonna see everybody. I'm gonna see just about everybody I really care about and have wanted to see. I won't get to see my grandmother on my dad's side. That's a little unfortunate, and I'm not gonna be able to see my dad himself. I was planning on seeing him this year, and then that thing happened, and I screwed everything up, because I haven't seen my dad in 10 years, and that's something I want to fix, but you know, what can you do? I don't feel like violating the orders, and I don't feel like getting sick, so I'm okay with staying home. And I aim to correct that once we have a vaccine, and that thing that's going around will at least be stopped or slowed, so... okay, so, serious discussion is aside. So now we'll turn to more game-related matters. So this question comes from Kalo, but he's got an assist from Wolfcook and Uriel El Oso, who all basically have asked the same question. What spin-off game of Monster Rancher would I want to see made? Apparently inspired when I mentioned something about Football Manager. So... I'll tell you, because I gave it a little bit of thought, and I know the perfect game I would love to see in the Monster Rancher universe with monsters, what with their abilities and such. I want to see a tactical RPG, because Pokemon Conquest was one of those games that on paper was like, why are you combining Pokemon with Romance of the Three Kingdoms and also feudal Japan with Nobunaga's ambition? And it totally fucking worked. It was one of the finest games made. Now, there were some mechanics abuses that I didn't like in that particular game. And certainly it could have been better refined. And there is no audience for it, which is why there is no such thing as Pokemon Conquest 2, unfortunately. But holy crap, was Pokemon Conquest a good game. It was so good, I have considered doing it for the channel or at least a stream before, except I can't get a DS emulator working to save my life. But I own it, so don't yell at me, Nintendo. I do own it. I just, well, you know, I still haven't tested my DS emulator since I got the new computer. So that's why I stopped Monster Rancher DS, because it was struggling, so maybe it would work now. I keep meaning to... well, whatever. Anyway. So, but yeah, Pokemon Conquest, for those who don't know, is a DS game where you play as a feudal Japan lord, and you have a Pokemon partner, and you go around Japan and very slowly take down your other Pokemon holding rivals to unite Japan under your rule. And it has town management, it has Pokemon management, it has... you have to be friends with the Pokemon, it has type change... sorry, type is the wrong word. I guess species pairing, like some Pokemon breeders / feudal lords prefer certain breeds. So if you give someone who likes, I don't know, bug Pokemon a Pidgey, they're only going to max out at 40% effectiveness. So you have to be on the lookout for Pokemon that you can capture. There's people management when you try to have certain population dig up more materials for your war efforts. It's really fascinating. And it works really freaking well. Ow. Nice. Anyway, it works really well. And in Monster Rancher, it's even easier because all these percentages you see for hit percentages and such, that can easily be transferred to a tactical RPG. It'd be fantastic. And then to add to that further, Wolfcook's comment includes that. I had to pull it up on my screen. Let's see. When you win matches, you could travel to other countries, and your monster would be rare there, so they would pay you to breed. And I want to be able to move to a crappy town and win tournaments and build up the town through your fame and bring more people in it. It would be awesome. Yes. And that's what I'm saying. You could do a tactical RPG where you start off as some dumbass in some pissant city, country, whatever, and you can go on little missions. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2 was good with that, because some of the missions would be like, you'd pick up a contract to go pick some mushrooms. Seriously. And you would take your team of fighters. It would still be a tactical RPG. And you would go to this area, and you had to move your people from one end of the map to the other where all the mushrooms were, but you had to fight through a bunch of enemies to get there, and that's how you leveled up. And then once you finished the contract, you would get your mushrooms and take them to the client, who would then pay you items, money, and a little bonus experience points. And that's the gameplay loop. And you just slowly went from province to province, helping everybody, gaining your power. You were gated by your power, so if you were too low of level, then you wouldn't be able to go to the advanced areas to take the stronger contract. So this idea of having, like, I mean, there's 1,000 different premises and ways you could do it, but just spitballing. You could start off as this pissant guy with one monster, and you slowly improve your hometown or whatever, and then your hometown can kind of stand on its own, and then maybe they'll be like, hey, you're so good, you should turn your ranch into a mercenary company or an employment agency. So now you have an area that you can build up, like a ranch, and then you have your exercise equipment, and then you have your staff who can go out and find items for you or food for you or money for you. And then you can take a special mission where you have to send out your team of monsters to go do something and get something. And you do that thing, and you use that money or those points or that prestige to go home and upgrade your exercise equipment and enlarge your ranch and open new breeds or open the shrine, open new features. And then with enough effort, look at that, now you're able to go to a different country and work for Fimba. And even in that context, even in a tactical RPG context, you could still do tournaments. So here's a little history. Oh, shit. I'll give you a history lesson in just a second. I need to see what these do. Okay. You don't need Goldenfoot. Why do I have no audio? You don't need Goldenfoot because you're not kicking anybody. Eva Marie. Alright. You could... Okay, history lesson. There we go. The Rome Colosseum. We've all heard of it. It's this massive place. And a lot of times, what we think of when we think of the Rome Colosseum is stuff like Gladiator, where it's this one-on-one fight to the death. But the Colosseum was such a massive structure, and it was modular, which is friggin' impressive for that. Well, it's friggin' impressive now, let alone for ancient history. And the Colosseum could be modified and filled with water. So they could have naval battles in the middle of the Colosseum. They had full-on naval battles in the Colosseum. And you could do, whatever you wanted there. So you could easily take that concept into a tactical RPG for Monster Rancher and say, look, you're not in a league for one-on-one fights. Those exist, sure, why not? But for the context of this game, you are part of a company. You are not part of a ranch with one-on-one trained fighters. You are here for team-based combat. So they just take one mercenary company, or whatever, against another mercenary company. Then you can throw in different rule sets and be like, this is the naval battle. And fuck you if you've got a Baku, that son of a bitch isn't going to be able to get anywhere in the arena. But, you know, you can set up infinite different challenges, infinite different obstacles to have this Colosseum-like battle structure. And you could even have a gym badge-like system where you have to go country to country to country to country and take part in maybe straight fights or unique fights or other ways to gain the prestige, the badge, the award, whatever, to make your mercenary company the best in the world. And while you do that, you are still running contracts, you are still gathering money, you are still upgrading your home base, you are still helping people. That would be fucking awesome. And it will never get made. That probably depressed a couple of you. But, see, I have said I don't think I could make a game, and I still don't think I could, but I think I could help direct and advise for a game premise. I mean, a lot of us, I'm sure, I highly doubt I'm special in that. I mean, a lot of us would be like, wouldn't it be cool if? But those are all the things I like about games, where you have a team, you have a place to build up, you have a home base that you're building up, you have tactical, strategic combat, but it's still in a fantasy setting. And, okay, that's progression. And even the way Monster Rancher 4 presents its distances from monsters for their attacks, that can dictate your movement, just like Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem, where, nice dodge, where, like, I can't use Raycast unless I'm in the square adjacent to my enemy, and I can't use Starlight unless I'm 2 squares back. And it forces you to not only think tactically, but say you can't use Starlight if there's someone between yourself and the enemy. That changes the tactical equation a lot, and you have to decide how you're going to move and who you're going to send in to help in order to do the attacks you want to do. It would be rad as hell. And Pokemon Conquest was so close to that. The only thing Pokemon Conquest failed in was it didn't present itself with a cohesive overall story, because the way Pokemon Conquest worked, it was intended to be replayed like 20 times, literally. What you had your tutorial mission, where you picked your own personal dude, you know, named them, it could be a boy or girl, you had a Pokemon, and then you attempted to unify Japan, but in a very hand-holdy way. The enemy was not aggressive. They would never attack you. You had to attack them because you were in tutorial land. And the entire tutorial land mission took, like, I want to say 6 hours. Like, it was a long thing because you're unifying Japan. It was pretty much a full-scale game. And the problem is, once it was over, instead of being like, cool, now do that again on a harder difficulty, it fundamentally changed the game, where it was like, okay, you did it, now use this other trainer and his Pokemon that you don't really know, and try the same thing, except you're starting in this whole different area. And it was a little bit more disjointed, and I think a lot of people, certainly at least for me, I don't think any of us realized that it was that replayable, and that there was a meta game on top of it. So if your starting character, for example, leveled up their Pikachu or whatever the fuck, then when you started over, that Pikachu would still be that higher level. So there was this repetitive grinding aspect of it, which is good, but they didn't talk about that from the start. And if I had been in charge of that game, what I would have done is, rather than forcing the player's tutorial campaign to be to unite Japan, I would have that player's tutorial campaign to be unite a province, and then be like, you know, when you finish like 3 territories, they're like, great, you've got these territories. Now when you start a real game, all your levels and money will carry over, and then it kicks you to the title screen. So then when the player picks it up again, they will realize that all their hard work carries over campaign to campaign, and then it's sort of it's more blatant of teaching the player rather than making them find out after they finish their first 6-hour campaign or whatever. But that was the only misstep. Otherwise, Pokemon Conquest was brilliant. But I still think Monster Rancher would have been better, because Monster Rancher is designed to use percentages, to use distances, and that's what tactical RPGs are. Pokemon is not. Pokemon is designed to be a standard JRPG where everything is a hit and miss, where I think most attacks have a 100% chance to hit, other than some that have a 90. Like, you know, which is fine. That's Pokemon's system. I think it's easier to adapt Monster Rancher to that system than Pokemon to that system. Yeah, man. So that would be my dream game. Don't worry, we'll do a buyout Koei Tecmo stream. We're gonna do a charity stream, but all the money will go to me, and we are going to make sure I can buy out Koei Tecmo, and then I'll make this game happen. We just have to raise about $11 billion. Literally. I think I could do it. If nothing else, I'll take off my shirt, and then I'll be like, if you want me to put my shirt back on, you have to pay me $5, and then we'll be rich. Anyway, that's it for me. We'll do progression in the next episode. Thank you all very much for watching. I will see you again tomorrow for that next episode.